Here we are. Welcome, everybody, to Going Off the Reels with Jeff and Nick.
Yes,
Uh, Same
I
bat
like it.
time, different channel. Here we are. Happy
New name.
2024, Jeff.
That's right. New name, same faces, same voices, but I like it. The rebranding to come back into 2024. I like it.
I had to switch things. It was like one of those things where I'm thinking, all right, you know what, Jeff and Nick, it's a good start, but we need something else to kind of work with.
I
And
agree.
I start thinking about it. I'm like, what's a movie filmed with? What's something that I can use? And off the reels, going off the reels.
I like it.
That's a little bit of a shout out to Ozzy Osbourne too.
There you go. How was your
Uh,
holiday, Nick? Did you have a good one?
Holidays were good. Holidays were good. It felt like the kids were never gonna go back to school. I don't know what happened. It felt like they were consistently out. Um, Franklin wound up building a fort the weekend after they got out of school, and then right when they got back. So
Nice.
Um, it was sandwich with a fort. What about you? How was your break?
My break was spent moving, so I did not really get much of a break. Neither my wife or kids because we had to move across town. But we're here now. We're settled in. Thanks to everybody who helped me. All my buddies, big help to all my buddies who helped me out. There's a lot of help came do the moving day, so I really appreciate all my buddies there. They helped me out, and we did it in like just a few hours. So it was like the quickest move ever. So shout out
In
to my
my
homies
defense,
out
he
there.
didn't ask me anybody. So if he
You're right.
would have
I
asked
did
me,
not
I would have
ask
said
Nick.
yes.
I know you would have, man. I had like 8 guys, so and they all had pickup trucks, and they all helped load it up. So I was very blessed to have them all help. So
There we
if
go.
they're listening, you guys know who you are. Appreciate it, guys.
There you go.
And
Thank you,
their
guys.
kids too, and the dads brought their sons, so they all helped too. So it was really felt the love and and the everybody helping out there.
Were you singing a
So
little bit of
that
Elton
was my
John?
break. Moving, always
Yeah,
fun.
that was my break. While you're singing Elton John, can you feel the love tonight?
Right.
Um, we are discussing a pair of true stories today.
That's right.
Brian's song with Billy D. Williams and James Caan, and American Underdog with Zach Levy and Anna Paquin. But we wanted to discuss a little bit of football first. Jeff, what were some of your thoughts after last week's 49er Packer NFC divisional edge
Yeah.
of our
Well,
seats game?
that was one of the more stressful games in recent memory. That's for sure. It was just they just didn't play good for 3.5 quarters. But pulled it out in the end. All the Brock Purdy hate this week. You've been hearing about it, how he can't get it done and he's not good. Like, well, didn't he just win? It's crazy. The hate that he gets. And Jordan Love got all the love in a loss. Brock Purdy got all the hate in a win. And he's not the one who threw interceptions, and he's the one who led the the game-winning
Game-winning
drive.
score.
I mean, and Jordan Love's the one who threw 2 interceptions, and Brock Purdy didn't. But yeah, Brock Purdy's the one who's lucky and all this and all that. I don't know. It's annoying to hear. I'm glad we won. I think this week they're going to come out like I think last week was a very good kind of kick in the ass for the 49ers. They're like, we can't just show up and expect to win. Everybody needs to step up. Everybody needs to bring their A game. And I hope that's what they bring this week, man. In the next 2 weeks, only 2 more wins to go. The next 2 teams are going to be no joke. So they need to step it up. I did not like Shanahan's game plan. We were kind of talking about this earlier. Should have ran the ball way more, and I think we would have won that game easily. But he got very pass happy, like he tends to do, and wants to get those chunk plays and all that. But that game was set up for the ground, and he just for some reason it's soaking wet out there. And that's run the ball. You literally have McCaffrey, and it was baffling to me that he just didn't run. Like McCaffrey only got 17 carries. That is a travesty. What about you? How'd you feel? The same.
I felt the same. It was definitely one of those games where I knew going in after Green Bay came off that big win against Dallas that this was going to be a big test because of how they throttled Dallas in that first round. And then the first team offense doesn't see much in that loss against the Rams.
I mean, Purdy didn't play at all in that game.
Purdy didn't play at all.
He hadn't played in 3 weeks, so
Exactly. And rust
and
is a
looked it.
factor.
Yeah, 100%.
Rest equals rust. There is a scientific theory behind it among sports fans. Same thing that goes with baseball. We talked about this after the Braves got bounced in the first round, as well as the Dodgers. Your
Dodgers,
best
yep.
record doesn't always mean that you are the hotter team. It means you are
Yep.
the better team during the season who earned the break, but that doesn't mean anything when there's teams that have, the Packers, when they won, the one time that they won with Rodgers, they were like an 8 seed,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah,
were
were wild card,
injured
I think.
up and down. They had 8 injuries on their offense, and they
Yep.
still won. They still made it to the Super Bowl, and they still won the Super Bowl. I remember that. It doesn't matter how you start; it's how you finish.
Look at the
This
Chiefs.
game, just like the Chiefs, just like the Eagles,
Yeah. Seriously, they started 10-1.
10-1,
And got bounced
and
real quick. And then
the
they faced
bottom
49ers
fell out.
and was all after they faced
Yeah.
us, freaking bottom fell out.
Yeah, it was the Dom Greenlaw moment.
Yeah. Yep.
But then the biggest thing to me that I saw, and this is a takeaway that I know I'm not the only one that feels this way, but I saw a third coming of a Green Bay quarterback that could be a very big deal for a long time.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Jordan Love played like he could be, not necessarily erasing Aaron Rodgers, but he looked a lot like Aaron Rodgers did. A lot of his throws could have been a little bit more on point. A lot of his throws were very Aaron Rodgers-esque, throwing across his body, throwing underhand, any soft tosses that he could have thrown. He's got a lot of work to do, in my unprofessional opinion, but he definitely looks like he is the future quarterback of the Green Bay Packers for a very long time, and they are completely comfortable with that if they get weapons around him, if they get a defense that can not only stop the run but protect. I think that they could be a thorn in a lot of NFC team sides for a considerable amount of time.
Yeah, I totally agree. They've really figured out Green Bay. They've clearly figured out the quarterback position. Going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to now Jordan Love, and what's the commonality between Rodgers and Love, right? Where they were drafted late first round, mid to late first round, sat for 2-3 years, and come right in, and they're ready to go. Like, I know not all teams can afford that, but that was that was supposed to be Trey Lance, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it turned out to be Brock Purdy, and he got thrust in a little early, and everything's been good. But not all teams have the luxury to just sit a quarterback for 2 years. Nor do all teams have an all-time great quarterback you can sit behind also. But it's annoying because I hate the Packers, but it is pretty impressive that of what they've been able to do for the last 30 years and have the 2 obviously Hall of Fame quarterbacks and a third one that looks like if he plays like that, like he did in the second half of this season and keeps getting better, then I see no reason for him to go anywhere and not make some deep runs in the playoffs, if not a Super Bowl in the near future. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be with Brock Purdy and Jordan Love kind of. Yeah, if Brock Purdy keeps, on his acceleration, this can be a good battle over the next, 5-10 years.
And there are some very good young quarterbacks in the NFC that can continue this trend and make things very hard for any team to repeat as NFC representatives in the Super Bowl. But we'll see. Sticking
Caleb Williams possibly coming too. Never know. No,
he needs an offensive line in front of him. You can't put that kid in a system without an offensive line. He's gonna be out of the league as quickly as RG3. Yeah. We're gonna stick with the NFC North, and we're gonna talk about Brian's song about the Chicago Bears with Gale Sayers, Brian Piccolo, the 1971 made-for-TV movie, Brian's song. First time I've watched it, Jeff. I believe you said this is the first time that you've watched it. This is one of those movies that I was told a lot about, and when I talk to people about doing a movie podcast, their biggest thing was, okay, cool, what movies are you on? What are you talking about? And a couple of the guys that I've talked to brought up Brian's song, talking about football movies and movies that I've never seen. It was, you have to see Brian's song. Brian's song. I had no idea that this had two of the greatest actors of all. Billy D. Williams isn't on the same level as James Caan, but you've still got Lando Calrissian in the same
Yeah.
movie as Sonny Corleone. I mean, you're
Right.
you're going with two of the greats here. So, what do you say, Jeff?
Yeah.
You wanna lose your playbook and pay me $1,000?
No, you just got to talk in my left ear. I can't hear you. You got to talk over here on this side of me.
What is
What
your
was that?
problem,
Oh,
Sayers?
it's good. Yeah, this I had never seen this either. I knew James Caan was in it. I did not know Billy D. Williams was in it. I was watching. I'm like, wait, who is that? I paused it. I'm like, is that Lando? I was like, that can't be. And then the credits came. I was like, oh snap, that is Lando. I think both of them. It was their. I think it's James Caan in one of his very first roles. I mean, this is a made for TV movie, which I didn't realize either. I thought it was when I saw the runtime, like only an hour and 15. Well, that's odd. That doesn't seem very long, but
Yeah.
yeah, I
Well,
didn't realize it was a TV movie, and I want to say it's. What's that?
I said add those 45 minutes, and it's a 2-hour TV movie.
Yeah, right. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, but I think it was James Caan's one of his first roles, and I don't know about Billy D. Williams, but probably one of his first too. So they both look so young. Man, what a tearjerker.
It was good.
This movie
Yeah.
really had it all, though. I mean, it was really good. It was a really, really. I mean, TV movies, man. They could be so hit or miss. Like, I say most likely miss, right? Because they're usually second rate. Second rate actor, second rate production, second rate writing. But this was really good. I thought this was a really good movie. Tight, compact. It was funny. It was dramatic. It was sad. It was uplifting. It had everything in it. And usually, a lot of times when a movie tries to do that, it gets to be too convoluted, and you don't get any of those points across. It just kind of feels flat when they're trying to do too much. But I don't know if the acting was just so good. This was just really well made, and all that stuff really hit. I thought all the beats hit. The comedy came at the right places. The buddy stuff came at the right places. Obviously, the feels and the emotion came at the end. Yeah, I just thought it was a really, really good movie. I have a couple issues with a few things, but overall, what did you think? You liked it, I think
I
you
really
said,
liked
right?
it. I thought it was really good. I really liked the integration that was a part of it. They were the first integrated teammates, integrated roommates on the
Mm-hmm.
Bears.
Yep.
The running
Suggested by the
scene.
captain, right? I think that usually they do position. It was always by position,
Correct.
and just by chance, they never had any black, white. There's basically
Tailbacks.
never any white running backs,
Correct.
so
Yeah.
they never roomed together. It was the first time, so that's really cool.
Yeah, it was. I was really impressed. The movie that I saw, the version that I saw, I caught it on YouTube, and it was kind of choppy. But it
Yeah,
worked. It
the
did the
remake.
trick. I could tell it was completely 100% a 70s movie with the music, with the hair. Completely one of those. Yeah, the clothes. One of those movies that I could totally see myself catching on like ABC or CBS, on a Sunday afternoon. During
It was a Sunday night movie at ABC, Sunday night movie of the week, so
yeah,
that would have been the right time.
yeah. No, I thought it was really good. There were a couple things from this movie that I wanted to touch on. Jeff, did you know that the Bears were initially called the Decatur Staleys, and they got their name
The
Decatur Staleys, like Joe Staley. The Bears still use Staley as the name for their team mascot, but they were using Wrigley Field as their home field, and they pulled their name from the Cubs, giving homage to the Cubs, and as a thanks to the Cubs for allowing them to use Wrigley Field as their home field. That was one of the big things.
I didn't know that.
And then Do you know what Wake Forest's team name is?
I feel like I do. Aren't they the Wake Forest Yellow Jackets?
No, that's the
No,
Georgia. That's Georgia Tech.
that's Georgia Tech. Wake Forest.
It is a
I guess I
two
don't.
name. They are
It's a
the
two-namer,
Demon.
right?
They are the
No,
Demon
Boilermakers
Deacons.
Purdue.
The
Demon Deacon. Oh,
Demon
that's right. That's
Deacons.
right. Yes.
Yeah.
Demon Deacon.
Um.
That does sound right. Sounds familiar. Who went to Wake Forest? Somebody went to Wake Forest. Basketball.
Uh.
Somebody went there. That was good.
Tim
Was Tim?
Duncan.
Not Tim Duncan.
It was either
Was it
Tim
Tim
Duncan or
Duncan?
David Robinson.
David Robinson was in the Navy.
It was Tim
It
Duncan.
must have been Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tim Duncan. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's right.
Brian Piccolo was part
That's
of the
funny.
first class of Wake Forest University Sports Hall of Fame members. Where was it? He's out of Central Catholic High School in Florida. I was just trying to find some stats on him, but all I'm finding are pictures.
Yeah, he doesn't have much stats. I mean, he only played that one season, and he ended up mostly a halfback or a fullback. Sounds like, or from based on that, caught a couple touchdowns. Looks like. I really like the. Oh, go ahead.
He set a ACC record against Duke, carrying the ball 36 times for 115 yards and scoring all of Wake Forest 20 points in that game. And this was back in the 60s. 64. He was a 5'11", 198 pounder. Carried the ball 252 times for 1,044 yards, an ACC record at the time.
Wow.
His rushing total and 111 points scored led the entire country. He set 6 conference records and 9 school records, was the ACC Player of the Year, and was an All-American in 64.
Wow.
Yeah. He
Just overall, it's good. It's a good ball player.
Yeah, good ball player. And I really like James Caan as this role. I mean, back in the 70s, we're talking 64, 65. Who else? Charlton Heston, John Wayne, who would have fit into this role?
Burt Reynolds, I think. I don't know, maybe a little young for that. Burt Reynolds might have been a little too young. When did what was the one that we watched?
The Longest Yard?
Yeah.
I feel like that was around the same time.
Yeah, probably, huh? So Burt Reynolds might have been a little too old, actually. He might have been a little too old.
I mean, he was 40 in The Longest Yard.
That's true, yeah, he was.
And Adam Sandler, I feel like Adam Sandler was 50.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it would have been like, but did Steve McQueen already die? Was he already passed by 1971? I don't remember when he passed away, when he died in that accident, but he was on the younger side, right? He could have done something like that. I thought James Caan was great. The only problem I had with him was that his accent kind of went in and out. I feel like he tried to do a little bit of a Southern drawl there and kind of went in and out of the movie, which did a little like Kevin Costner in Robin Hood. It just kind of goes in and out.
You're mixing the Southern drawl with your Italian accent.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like, they probably started off doing it and then they just like, all right, I'm over it now, but otherwise, yeah, dude, he was really good. And they played so well off of each other, him and Billy D. Williams. You really felt the connection that these two players had, the love that they had for each other, the respect that they had for each other, and the way that their friendship blossomed from just kind of meeting. And you could tell, that James Caan character, the Brian Piccolo characters, just just kind of a lot, not loud, but just kind of like just a bro, you know what I mean? I think that's a good way to describe him in these terms. He's just like a bro. He's just like, seems like a nice dude, likes to joke around, have fun. He's kind of loud, kind of brutish. Not the biggest dude, obviously, James Caan, but whereas Billy D. Williams comes in the Gale Sayers character, a lot quieter, a lot more reserved, and whereas the Brian Piccolo character gets kind of, by interaction, brings him out of his shell, gets him to be, and they make that funny thing like, oh, look, Gale made a joke, of his first joke. And then when they're in the restaurant and, just to see how comfortable they were with each other, and the friendship that bonded, the friendship that, was formed between them it was really, really cool to see. Huge tearjerker at the end. If you haven't seen it, obviously, spoiler alert, Brian Piccolo's passed away. He has cancer and he passes away at the end. And, man, that speech Billy D. Williams gave, what an amazing, just an amazing scene for him. Better than anything that I've ever. I mean, I haven't really seen him do much outside of the Star Wars. I can't really think of anything else he's been in. I think I saw maybe something else, but that's probably. I mean, that speech he gave was just. I mean, perfect. You know, you really couldn't have. I don't think he could have done that scene any better. It was such a good speech, and you really. I mean, I was crying. That's for damn sure. So, really good acting all the way around. Loved it.
So Billy D. Williams.
Also, if you haven't gone watch, anybody out there that's listening, if you have not seen Gale Sayers, go to YouTube right now. It's why put on Gale Sayers YouTube highlights. Absolutely amazing. We don't talk about this guy doesn't get talked about enough.
He's been in a lot of the Lego movies. He's definitely in a lot of Star Wars movies, but nothing else that's big. I mean, it looks like he's a lead role in Dangerous Passion, and that looks like it has the gentleman that played Apollo Creed in it.
Oh, Danger! That sounds like a Skinamax movie.
It's
Dangerous Passions.
Yeah,
tonight at midnight on Cinemax.
On Cinemax. Carl Weathers flees with his lover, the wife of mobster Billy D. Williams, who may be setting them up. Carl. Yeah. When I first saw this, I was like, "Wait, is this Apollo Creed? What's going on here?" I really, you know what? The biggest thing for me was when they start talking about cancer, and for me, cancer is really one of those things that hits home. You know, I wish cancer was just a detour. I highlighted that just because it's something that I've dealt with in my life. You know, my mom passed of cancer when I was in high school, and so you know, a lot of this stuff, it's the operating and how things change, and it's like, you know, he's slower in the 40. He's lost 10 pounds in a month. Like those things, they catch up, and a lot of times, you know, talking from experience, and you know this just as well as I do, that it with a snap of a finger, it's like, wow, how did things get to this point? And you know, you see the kind of the way that they had to portray this, and the way that he was in the hospital bed, where it just looked like he was a mannequin, you know, a wax face where dude could barely move his lips. And you know, the story, they did remake this movie. I haven't seen the remake. It was a 2001 made for TV movie.
I haven't seen it either. I didn't see it either. I thought it was, for some reason I had in my head that it was like a actual movie, like a feature film.
So they used
the remake, that is.
Mekhi Phifer played Gale Sayers, and Sean Mayer played Brian Piccolo, but there's nobody in this movie. I mean, aside from that, there's it was written by Gale Sayers, so it's definitely out there, but it's not something that I even like bother to look at. I would look at maybe for it being a little bit more up to date, the clarity of it, I would check it out again, but I don't know if it's gonna.
I don't need to. I don't need to see the remake. This movie was good enough. I don't think I need to see it. I can't imagine anybody doing a better job. The last thing I want to say about this movie is I thought it was freaking awesome using real clips. Genius.
I loved it. Right. I thought it was great. You know, here's one thing that
I guess it's easier to do it when you're doing it based on actual players, right? I guess that's a lot easier.
True.
You know, you're talking about that actual season, and you can use actual plays of him getting hurt. You know what I mean? Of that one against 49ers.
That was so bad.
But I thought that was a really cool.
That was so.
I thought it was really cool to use. Actual
plays. No, I really liked it, and I really liked the how they actually used the game clips that they used, and the way that things were. You know, it was based on things that had just happened. I mean, this happened less than 5 years prior. So you're looking at
it 65. 65
Yeah,
so
65, right? Yeah. They were both drafted or signed as free agents in 65, and then in 67, he won the Rookie of the Year in 65. And then in 67, he had that knee injury that kept him out, and Piccolo died at 26.
26.
Here's some things about Gale Sayers. He was known as the Kansas Comet, and Piccolo also called him Black Magic.
Black magic.
Hall of Famer, 4-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro, a member of the All 1960s Hall of Fame team. His number is, of course, retired. His career, he ran for 4,956 yards and 39 touchdowns in 68 games.
Interesting.
Yeah. And, of course, he was a Rookie of the Year. He won the George Halas Award on the Bears for most inspirational. But yeah, I was really a fan of this. If there was a way that you could remake it and, you know, kind of not necessarily put a new spin, I would never ask for a new spin on it. This story is good as it is. It's great as it is. I think I'd want to read the book just to kind of get a little bit more background information because, you know, when you read a book like that, you get more about it. And I think that it deserves an actual movie that's an hour and a half, 2 hours, telling a little bit more.
Getting a little more into it.
Correct, and not having to have
and more of their relationship, I think.
A 10-minute scene where they're running, like the Rocky 3 scene where Apollo and Rocky are running down the beach. But yeah, this definitely slid into a favorite football movie of mine just based on the fact that it's a real story. It was a little hard to follow at first.
I think it's it's one of the better ones I feel like that we've watched.
Yeah.
You know, there's been a few duds in there, but I think it's one of the better ones. You know, I would put it up there. I think higher on the list than I thought it was going to be. How about that?
I mean, it's no Little Giants, but it's still James Caan and Billy D. Williams. Yeah. We're going off the reels again. Here we go. We're going with American Underdog, released in 2021, about the story of Kurt Warner.
Kurt Warner.
Now, this is one of those stories for me. You know, it's really easy to root for this guy because of where he came from, but it's really hard for me to root for the entire story because of my football allegiance. So, and that was one of the biggest things that I wrote down. It's really easy to root for this guy because you know how hard he had it, but it's really hard for me to root for you because I dislike the organization that you play for. So, Phil Mosley.
And you caused us so much heartache over the years.
Yeah.
Like, I hated Kurt Warner. I hated Kurt Warner. Like, he
could have gone any other team.
It was so frustrating.
Any other team.
Beat us all the time.
Yeah.
Like, just beat us all the time. Just dominated the 49ers. Like, yeah, love the story. It's great. Maybe that's the why people don't like Brock Purdy, right? He's beating them. Love the story, hate the guy, right? I guess. I don't know.
No, people need to get off the Brock Purdy.
Yeah, what do you think, Nick? What do you think of this movie?
You know what? I thought Anna Paquin looked a lot old. I don't know how old Brenda Warner is, but she looked to be a lot older than Kurt Warner in a lot of different ways.
Dude,
Anna Paquin is
that's funny you mentioned that because I thought that too. But as I was watching it, I remembered it at the end when they showed the real Brenda Warner. Like, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. She had that short hair, and I always thought she was a lot older. Even, you know, was it 99, 98, 99, whenever that was, the 99 when he came on the scene. Like, I thought, like, dang, this chick's old. How much older is she than him? Like, I thought that back then. I think she's not, right? I think they're around the same age. She just that short.
Yeah, that short hair. So Anna Paquin was born in 82. And Zach Levy's born in 80. So they're both, 40, 41, 42.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those things that you don't know, like, how old is Kurt Warner?
I don't know.
Kurt Warner's 52.
Well, I think he was like 20, 52.
Currently
okay,
52.
So
let's see. How old is Brenda Warner?
Yeah, so he was like 20. He was
Brenda is
20,
4 years
like
his senior.
28.
She is.
So he's 20. Oh, she
is 4 years older than him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she did have 2 kids, so that makes sense. That tracks. But so he was about 28, 27, 28 when he burst onto the scene there, somewhere around there.
The biggest thing for me, with 20s. The whole kids thing was I really loved how the relationship between Kurt and Zach just was so good. I I immediately attached myself to that kid. He was so awesome. I want to be a black truck driver. And it's like, well, you could be a truck driver, but you can't be a black truck driver. No, I want to drive a black truck. Got it. Got it.
That was
That
funny.
he was my favorite character in this entire movie, aside from um, Kurt's best friend that he went to college with, that he played arena football with. That guy
Yeah.
was one of my favorites. And aside from that, I mean, I thought this movie was great. You know, I once hated country music too.
Very.
In all honesty, it was, oh, what kind of music do you like? Well, I'll tell you what I don't like. I don't like rap.
Everything but
I
country.
don't like everything but rap, everything but country, and everything but classic. And guess what? Guess what? Two of the stations are country and classic.
Classic. Classic country. Put them
Classic
together.
country. Yeah, right. Um, what else did you think about this one, Jeff?
Yeah, I like this movie. Like I said, I wasn't obviously not a huge Kurt Warner fan back then, but I mean, it's how can you not root for the guy? I wish he was on a different team because I would have loved to have more rooting interest for him back then, but he was directly against us. What are we supposed to do?
Yeah.
Kept beating us. But looking back now, like it's an incredible story. Just shows the perseverance. Not giving up on one's dream. How hard it is. I didn't really. He really had it hard. Like he had a hard. I don't want to say hard life, but he really fell on some hard times there. Him and Brenda Warner there, they fell on some pretty hard times trying to make his dream come true. And to see it come to fruition there with all the hard work. I mean, how can you not just be happy for him? And by all intents and purposes, have you ever heard anything bad about Kurt Warner?
No.
He's never been in he's never been in the headlines. He never said anything bad. He's never had a controversy. He's never ripped teammates. He's never demanded trades here. Well, I don't know, maybe the Giants, maybe he didn't like when Eli, but for all accounts, the dude's a really good guy. He's a Christian. He became a Christian through his wife, which, I appreciate as a fellow Christian myself. Like, it's a really uplifting story. And it's great to see people who, achieve their dream through hard work, not through luck, not through this or that, money or stuff, but through hard work and determination and just, taking your shots and working your way up. And it was great to see that. And I thought the movie played well. You knew what movie you're going to get. It's called American Underdog, so it's going to be, and it's a Disney movie. Was it Disney? I'm not sure it was Disney. It felt like
It felt like Disney.
It wasn't a Disney movie, but it felt like it. Felt like a Disney movie, right? It felt like The Rookie, right? It was like The Rookie. I mean, it was basically the kind of the football version of The Rookie with Dennis Quaid, which Dennis Quaid was also in this, Dick Vermeil. Yeah, I thought it was really good. I thought Zach Levy, that's his name, right?
Correct.
Zach Levy was really good. I thought he did a really good job. I've only seen him really in the Shazam movies. It looked like he was still pretty freaking bulked up from those movies because he looked pretty big in this movie.
He also had some supporting roles
like
in the Thor movies. I can't figure out who he is, but he had some supporting roles in the Thor movies.
Oh, you're right. I think he was. That does sound familiar. I think he was one of the people. His like Thor's
with Sif, one of his posses.
At the beginning. Yeah. I think one of those. Yeah, I think I could be wrong about that. But yeah, man, I've got some notes on that. I thought it was funny to see. It was cool to see the things that we know, right? Like you saw him get cut in Green Bay and, he goes into the office and that's Mariucci. And like, I was like, is that before that happened? When he asked, he's like, hey, you're ready to go on, let's go on the play. And, Kurt Warner's like, no, I'm not ready to play. I don't want to make a fool of myself. And then the guy's like, all right, well then fine. He looks back and I'm like, dude, is that Mooch? Like that has like a Mooch type look. And then you go in there, it says Coach Mooch. So that was cool, to see Mariucci's part in it because I remember them saying that he was on that Green Bay staff. And you got to see Mike Martz, the mad scientist Mike Martz, and his offense and how he pushed him to see if he was ready. And old and then old softy Dick Vermeil, man. How many movies is this guy going to be in? Dick Vermeil, he was in. We've already touched on one of them. Was it Incredible?
Invincible.
Not Incredible. Invincible. Thank you. Where Dick Vermeil was a big softy for
Vince,
what's his name?
Papali.
Vince Papali. And he's here. He's a big softy for Kurt Warner. I just think that's cool. That's good for Dick Vermeil. Good for him. Yeah, what a that dude seems like a nice guy too. I heard he's a big crier, so I feel like I heard that. So he's probably a big softie. And I like the line that he said, Vermeil, "Destiny belongs to the underdog." What a great line. That's really a cool line right there. I really like that, and I think that's something that really standed out for me.
A couple of these things, back to when he got cut by the Packers. So he was signed as an undrafted free agent by the Packers. I read an article where he had an unsuccessful tryout. So that was it. And of course, you want to know more what happened, how did things go awry, and that's basically the gist of it. You show up, you got to try out. Nope, sorry, not cutting it. And that's the cutthroat mentality of the NFL. It's if you're not ready to go, like, nah, coach, I'm gonna sit this one out. All right, cool. Hey, come see me in my office. You got your playbook? What do you mean that's it? That's it. You're not ready to go. You got to be ready to go.
You're not ready. You're not.
Yeah.
You got to be ready.
The one shot to prove I'm good enough, and he gets it, and he's so, dancing around it. The coach in Northern Iowa, that was Adam Baldwin, and I did a little bit of research. He was a Baldwin.
Yeah, he's the oldest, I believe. I briefly looked him up because I was like, "Who is that guy?" I swear, I thought it was somebody else. To be honest, I did not. That's not who I thought it was. When I looked him up, I thought it was somebody else.
The relation that he has to the more famous Baldwins dates back to a common relation in the 1600s. So they're
really
rather distant cousins.
Okay.
He was also in The Patriot. He was one of the English officers that burned the town. And he was also in Independence Day as one of the majors.
I know exactly which one he is now that I think about it. He's the one, he shot the alien. Shoot it again. Yeah. Shoot through the glass. I know exactly who that is now.
Sir, are you sure? Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead and let's try that again.
Yeah, Area 51. Yeah. That's right. Oh my God. Yeah. I do know that is. I thought when I just saw him, who is that guy? I thought it was the dude from Young Guns 2 who played the guy who shot Billy the Kid. What's his name? Pat Garrett. I thought that's who it was. I think he was on CSI for a while.
I think you're.
Shoot. I can't think of his name right now, but I think he was on one of those CSI shows too. That's who I thought it was, but yeah.
Here.
It was cool. It was a good movie. I liked it.
It was really.
I like. One part that stood out was I like the one funny part that I wrote down. I loved it. He ordered that fruity drink and she ordered the whiskey or something, and she's looking at him. He's like, "What? I like what I like." Good for you, Kurt Warner, man. You want to order that fruity drink? Order that fruity drink. Who cares?
Go for it.
You like a fruity drink? It's pink and it's red. Who cares? If that's what you like, man, you drink it. Exactly. Any other men out there? If you like that drink, man, who gives a shit? Drink it. Who cares? It's delicious.
I forgot how fun arena football was. And even looking at the rules, it's 85 feet wide and 50 yards long. And he just, how many, I didn't look up how many touchdowns he threw for that first year, how many touchdowns he ran for. But God, he was just a touchdown machine, 100 yards a touchdown or $100 a touchdown.
Yeah, I think it was 36. I think it's 36 touchdowns or something. I feel like.
And then you've got Kirk Herbstreit, a young Kirk Herbstreit, and a young Mike Golick at the championship game.
Yeah, God, that was cool. Real footage, I think. That was real. I'm assuming that was real footage.
Kirk was right out of the NFL because he played a couple of years in the NFL. And Mike Golick, I mean.
Yep. No, that's right.
Yeah, his brother Bob. His brother Bob was in Saved by the Bell. The college years.
Yep. The college years. The one season of the college years.
That was so good. I remember when Trent Green went down.
I love Saved by the Bell.
I remember all of this going down because I remember it's okay, cool. Well, Trent Green comes over from Kansas City, and he is the next big quarterback. And so you start looking at it, and it's he gets hurt, and then it's Kurt Warner's turn, and that was no. He missed season, injured knee. That was 99. He had come over and he was year 2 after being in Washington, and he missed the season. And then in 2000,
he went to Kansas City after.
He went to Kansas City. Yeah, so he played 1 year in.
He got hurt in Kansas City too.
Doesn't
If I
show.
remember correctly. Trey Green just couldn't catch a break,
Yeah,
man. Trey
later
Green couldn't catch a break.
later in his year. So he was a comeback player of the year in nominated for comeback player of the year in 2000, but he only played in 8 games and he started 5. And then
Yep.
he went to Kansas City and he played 5 seasons. He played from 2001 to 2005, and then he started getting hurt. So he played 8 games in 06, and then 5 in 07, and then 3 in 08, and it was just never the same.
No, done after that. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Good quarterback. I remember him being good. Just injuries.
well, yeah, I mean, and the same thing goes for Brock Purdy. Any quarterback can be good given the system that they're in with the weapons that he had around him. Look at it, you got Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce, and Marshall Faulk. And I know for a fact that 2 of those 3 are in the Hall of Fame, and I'm not certain which one isn't. I think Torrey. No, I'm pretty sure that all 3 of them are in there.
Marshall Faulk for sure is. So is Kurt Warner. I don't know if either of those receivers are in. I want to say they're not. Receivers, it would have been Torrey. I don't know. I
Hall of Fame wide receiver Isaac Bruce.
Okay, Torrey Holt's not in then. I can't imagine Torrey Holt. He was good, but I can't imagine he's in.
Torrey Holt is not in.
I feel like we should not in. Well, based on the recent discourse around recent conversation around Brock Purdy, I feel like we should knock Kurt Warner down, right? I mean, if he has all these great players around him, he can't be that good. That's what they say Brock Purdy. This movie really got me thinking about, all the slander that Brock's been facing. And it's just wild, man, because I mean, it's called American Underdog. America loves underdogs, but for some reason, they just don't like Brock Purdy. I don't know what it is. It's very bizarre. And it's not like he's not like he's all, Kaepernick. People hated Kaepernick. He's all tatted up, and he does this and, and they didn't like that. He's not my quarterback. He doesn't look like it. Like Purdy, I mean, I guess because he looks like he's 13. You know what I mean? Is that why people don't like him? It is absolutely baffling to me that people are not rooting for this guy and the underdog story that he has. Going to a small school, undersized his whole life, go to school, does 4-year starter, and then gets drafted last pick in the draft. Like, what's not to like about this? What's not to like about this? Was he on 20-5?
20-5.
We lost 3 games this year. He's 20-5.
20-5.
Why are we not? Why are people not outside of San Francisco like not praising this dude? I just don't get it. I really don't understand the hate for him. I guess maybe I was talking to my buddy Roy about this, and I was like, maybe it's like the Steph Curry thing, where it's like it's not fitting the mold that we associate with that type of player, right? Steph Curry came along. I'm shooting threes from deep. Wait a minute, you're not supposed to do that. And also, you're like 6'3". You're not supposed to be able to score this much and be this good and dominate the game of basketball at your size. You're not supposed to be able to do that. You're not a high flyer. If you're Kobe, you can do that. If you're Michael Jordan, you can be 6'6" and dominate because you can high fly, but he's not. Steph Curry wasn't high flying. He was shooting and going under people, and people freaked out about that. And people don't like him for that and try to knock him down off, where he should be ranked in the all time because they don't appreciate his game. And I feel like that's kind of happening with Brock. Like, he's not 6'5", whereas Kurt Warner was 6'5", 6'5", 220 probably. Regardless of his chance he got, he looked like a quarterback, right? Like big, tall, strong in the pocket. Brock's what, 6 foot, 185 pounds?
So,
I wonder if that's the case. People just look at him like, this dude should not be doing this, and I hate him for it.
And I'm not
or maybe because he just beats everybody. Maybe because he just beat all your teams.
So I got some information about Kurt Warner, and I'm going to get to the cast of this movie as well. When the Rams, out of the Arena Football League, where he played for the Barnstormers for 3 seasons, he signed with the Rams and was sent to the NFL Europe. Started all games for the Amsterdam Admirals in the season that he played there. That was 97, December 97. So that was 98.
Wasn't that Tom Sula?
That may have been Mr. Tom Sula.
Oh. I feel like that was. I feel like he went to the NFL Europe and was under Tom Sula.
And I'm going to look that up in a sec.
I could be wrong.
He led
we can do that for the Mound Huddle or whatever we call this.
He
Mound huddles
led the
next week.
league. He led NFL Europe in passing with 2,101 yards. A bit about his career. So he's the only undrafted player ever to be elected to the Hall of Fame. 12-year career. He was a 2-time All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowl selection, 2-time Associated Press MVP, the 2008 Walter Payton Man of the Year, was a Super Bowl champion and appeared in another one with the Cardinals. Passed for 32,000 yards and 208 touchdowns in 124 games. I don't see any reason that this guy, and the other thing is he's such a cool guy based on what I'm reading. He even reached out to Kaepernick to work with Kaepernick about a lot of the things that he wanted to work with. And the one thing that I remember about the interviews is that Kaepernick was complacent. He wasn't interested in getting better. He was okay being where he was. And in the NFL, as we've seen in a lot of these movies and having been football fans, if you are complacent, you will be gone. And that's one of the biggest things. I get why Colin Kaepernick thinks that he's a viable quarterback for an NFL team, but if you're not getting better, if you're plateauing, you will be looked over. There are guys that are coming up that that are a sponge. Be a sponge, and he learned from his mistakes. And I'm really glad that they showed that mistake where it's like, nah, coach, I'll wait. Like, hey, are you ready? Yes, I am. And the biggest thing that I really love how he came in and his relationship with his mom, his relationship with Brenda's parents, how that kind of all took place. You didn't really see the relationship with him and Jessie, Brenda's youngest daughter, but you did see that relationship with Zach. And I know that I touched on that, but that was really touching. In both of these movies that we're talking about today, they're very, very sympathetic, very empathetic stories, because you're talking about a guy who by all means, you can go out and you're a very good looking man, you can do whatever you want, but you found a woman who pulled you in, who gave you, you make me better. And I don't want to do life without you because you make me better. And then, he runs out of gas. That part I was like, oh my gosh, that was brutal. However far he had to go, it's just a couple miles, and he comes back and it's dusk. He's like, hey.
That was imagine that happening. It was so touching, that the relationship he had with Zach, her son, who was blind, legally blind. Really touching, for a 25, 20, 23, 24, 25-year-old dude to be like, I'm going to basically treat this kid as my own, like right from the beginning. Like it was really cool. And like I said, I mentioned earlier, like you never heard anything bad about Kurt Warner. All you've ever heard is good stories. And, that's interesting about the Kaepernick stuff. I never heard that Kaepernick said, Kaepernick kind of got complacent. That makes sense because he didn't really get better. And, we just hope Brock Purdy keeps getting better, right? And Kurt Warner's a big fan of Brock Purdy too. So I know he's one of the people who gives him praise. So he probably sees a lot of himself in it. So like I said, I guess I can understand the Brock Purdy hate, because I hated Kurt Warner at the time. I didn't appreciate it, but now I really do appreciate the story that he has and where he came from, the hard work he put in to make his dreams come true. And like you said, the only undrafted player to make. I mean, just for an undrafted dude to play, hard. The undrafted player to start harder, start as a quarterback, hardest. To make the win a Super Bowl, harder. Hall of Fame, like 0.001% can, of a chance to do that. And he defied all the odds, and it's really cool. It was a really cool story, and good for Kurt Warner.
The biggest thing that I think we're overlooking is how this movie started too. Is he's watching the Super Bowl that the Niners played against Dolphins, and he's watching Joe Montana set those records, and it's like, hey, can we watch something else? Like, no, I want to watch this. And then at the end of the movie, they talk about that Super Bowl against the Titans, and I think that a couple of weeks ago I had said, no, the Titans won that Super Bowl. I was joking with you. It's like, no, I'm pretty sure the Rams won that. I was like, I know, I kind of erased that from my mind because I dislike the Rams so much. Here we go. So, I didn't know that he set he broke the record that Joe had set. And I really
Forgot about that.
liked how it started, where you start talking about, one of the greats, and you got Joe Montana, and then they start going into everything else. And it's like how to take, these guys know how to take a sack, they know how to stay in the pocket, and they understand. I remember one of the scenes with it was Adam Baldwin, where his coach at Northern Iowa, it's like, you don't trust my playbook and you don't trust your teammates. What do you mean, coach? Just give me a chance. He's like, you don't stay in the pocket, and then everybody, it's like, God, I can't remember what that drill's called, but it's like, I think it's called Oklahoma, where it's just, you're coming after him. So Dennis Quaid was Dick Vermeil, and Greg Kinnear was Dick Vermeil in Invincible. Bruce McGill was the Barnstormers owner. He was also Ralph Huck in 61. And Anna Paquin, she has a couple roles. She was Rogue in the X-Men movies, and she was also in The Irishman. I was looking for more stuff that she was in, but all I remember her was from her X-Men movies.
X-Men. She was in Vampire.
Have you seen The Irishman yet?
Right. I did. I don't remember her in that with
Pacino, De Niro.
Pacino and De Niro, right?
And then Zach Levy. We did talk about that. He was in Shazam.
True Blood. True Blood. She was in True Blood. That's what it was. True Blood. She was in HBO series. True Blood.
I really liked, I thought these were good movies. I thought they were a great way to kick back off, go off the reels, get a little bit off topic.
Yeah. And again, standing in the pocket, you mentioned that. Again, what does Brock Purdy do good? Stands in the pocket. Stands in the pocket tall, and how you have to. That's one thing Jimmy... you're watching, where Jimmy, he would stay in the pocket, but he's freaking out in the pocket. Happy feet, and then interception. Whereas Brock is much more calm in the pocket. That's what we like. He's going to lead us to that Super Bowl, just like Kurt did. One game at a time.
Trust your reads, trust your process, get after it.
That's right.
Was there anything else from these two movies that you thought was imperative to discuss, sir?
No, I think that's about it. That's about all I got, I think.
That is...
good movies. Good. I like these movies. Good movies this week.
Good to be back. And that is a wrap for Season 3, Episode 1. Thank you. And we will find you again going off the reels.